All right. Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dylar's Tactics. Well, last night, or very, very early this morning, we got more information, actually quite a bit of information about the upcoming new content that I talked about in my previous video, the clan versus clan PvP. So I'm going to pull up the forum post right now, but we're not going to really go over the forum post in depth. I don't want to be just another talking head that just reads stuff. I actually prepared a new tab on my King Arthur Master Spreadsheet, which is linked in the description. We're going to go through that because I think that's going to be a little bit more helpful for discussion. So we basically, all I'm going to take from the forum post, and this is on the official King Arthur Legends Rise forum. You can Google it and find it quite easily for yourself. We are going to go through the pictures in depth on my spreadsheet, though not here. So what is Clan War? So during Clan War, your clan will be challenged by other clans in fierce battles. The clan who deals the most damage and earns the most points in the process will be declared the winner. So we'll go through all that because that we can go through in depth more. Now, it says we are currently in the final stages of development. So Clan War should be ready at the beginning of 2025 for everyone to enjoy. So we don't have any new content coming till January. Maybe February. I'm sure that they're just fine-tuning it. Usually, mobile games don't release content announcements this in-depth without it being almost done and in the pipe and them just doing the final tweaks. So this is coming probably January. So if it's not this Wednesday, I'm guessing it's going to be 2 weeks from Wednesday is where it's like the first week somewhere in January. Later on, somewhere around there is when we're going to get this content. So that is the actual forum post. The only thing I want to take away from that is that it is Guild PvP and that it's coming early 2025. Now, let's go look at this. Let me move me down hither. And let's blow this up to 125 so you can not see. Let's go even bigger. There we go. Okay. I think we can work with this. So this first image right here. So what can we gather from that? So it's, info, clan members, clan missions, clan war. So it is going to be on the guild tab or in the guild area of the game. And all we can really gather from this is it's season 1. I think it says League 1 season 3 period. 0 points, 0 points. What we can gather down here is there's a shop. There's reward info, rewards, and research. Don't know what that means, research. And then right here is something info, rank info. I'm guessing that's going to be guild, the guild rankings. And then here is contribution. So we know that you are going to get contribution points. Your guild leaders are going to be able to track what you do. And if you're in a serious PvP guild, they're going to be looking at it very closely. And if you're not PvP focused, they might be shuffling you out. I'm sure there's a lot of guilds that are going to be going through some reshuffling phases prior to this launching. Because there's a lot of people, and this is going to help the whales. I think this is going to placate the spenders that are kind of stuck. They're done everything. They've done all the dungeon 10s, and now they're just kind of like waiting. So now this gives them some incentive to go out there and build more teams, which we'll talk about teams here as we get through this. But this one right here. So I actually want to, now that my text is over there, we're going to go zipping up to the top so that you can see this text here. And let's scroll that over. Okay, well, we'll go like that. There, you get the gist. So, a couple images. So this image right here, what I gather from looking at this is you can see this grid up here that I'm circling with my mouse right now. So you're going to start at the flag, and the goal is, you can see there's granary, barracks, forge, armory, forge, barracks, castle. And you can see that on this UI, there are 2 teams per foothold, is what these are, and then this is your stronghold or your castle. So this is our UI. This is like the clan's defensive UI, her user interface. So it looks like, judging from this, is the goal is to kill the enemy castle or at least get as most points as possible. So you can come around the edges or you can just go straight up the middle. Either way, you're going to have to go through like 1, 2, 3 places to kill the castle. But if your guild can only clear 3 footholds and clear the castle, well, another guild's going to come in, they're going to clear more of your board, and they're going to win. Now, there is some strategy to be had here, which I like. So it looks like the goal is to kill the enemy castle or to gather as much points as possible. Looks like there are bonuses for the different defensive structures. You see, this one's got a crit damage bonus. This one's got a recovery or an HP bonus, an attack bonus, a defense bonus. And then your castle says there's shields. We don't know if that's a bonus or if that's a mechanic that's going to be associated with that foothold or castle. We'll probably find out more closer to launch, but there is some kind of modifier associated with each thing. So it says you can see on the far left edit foothold button. So we're just going to scroll over here. So right here you can kind of see it. So these ones are all set, even though they are missing some teams. But this one, it says edit foothold. So I don't know if maybe the guild officers can come in here and like remove some teams or what, or set the different bonus. But you see that some of these also have these flags and some don't. Now the ones that don't are missing teams, which tells me that, hey, there's a flag saying, hey, we need a team over here. But this edit stronghold, I don't know if you can change the bonuses or change what kind of foothold it is. We don't know that yet, but I did notice that it is there, so you can change the type. So I'm guessing that the different types of footholds have different modifiers involved. Different paths to the enemy castle. Maybe that trumps all. So yeah, maybe castle trumps all. And these Arthur avatars you see in the on the footholds, that's just your in-game avatar. So whatever you have for your avatar in-game, that's going to be what's there. And then, this is where you can kind of strategize. So like a different guild versus guild game in a different, or mode in a different game, a lot of times we like to make a strong front wall. Like, you're going to have to use all of your best teams to get through this strong front wall. So maybe these 3 or these front 6 strongholds are filled with nothing but just stacked uber defensive teams. And then maybe this row is the weaker stuff, right? So if you can expend as many teams up front, because, people tend to rush. So if someone that's weak goes in and just throws a team at something, we don't know how it's going to work. We don't know if the team is going to be like attack gauge loaded, if the damage from one attempt carries over into the second attempt. We don't know any of those mechanics. We can only guess. But there is some strategy to be involved here. Maybe you just want to do these last 5 strongholds in your castle with the best teams possible to try to stonewall someone. I don't know. That's going to be up to the guild officers to figure out. But you could. I do like that there is room to strategize. And then this in yellow, this is going to be what some of my more important takeaways. So this UI is the offensive UI. So this would be like as if you or me, we were attacking the enemy footholds. You can see that so far they've killed 1 up front here, and then there's these 3 open with these other ones all unaccounted for. But what I don't know is why, if they killed this one, why they couldn't go diagonally across. I don't know why they couldn't do that. I guess we'll find out. So this is defensive, or the offensive UI. This is you going against them. You can't see any of the teams except for the footholds that you have available open to attack. And you can't see what's hiding behind any of these. So one thing I did kind of highlight right here is that we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this in yellow. So this here, this is what it looks like when you are assigning a team to a foothold. Now, very, very interesting to note is that there is the possibility of 5 teams to be loaded into one of these. So there is going to be some level of scaling, and as there should be, because matchmaking should make ideal, strong guilds versus strong guilds. So how this would work, I don't know how they're going to determine how many defensive placements you have per foothold. If it's going to be based on the guild's total combat power, or if it's going to go off of the guild's level. We don't know how matchmaking is going to go, but hopefully they nail that down pretty tight, because matchmaking can become one of the biggest not arguments, one of the biggest gripes, issues with guild versus guild type content. If you're a level 2 guild with casual players matched up against, Celestial's Prime or Grail or one of the Kraken guilds. So this is interesting. So we, based on this and some quick maths, well, we'll get to that, but I'm guessing, here we talked about, I'm guessing depending on the size of the clan, it can be up to 5 teams per foothold. Don't know how many that means for the castle. This is how we view our foothold. So this is where you're going to click and you're going to log in and you are going to assign a team, most likely, since it says foothold deployment unit info. And then this page, this is how we view the enemy footholds. So let me scroll this over now that we saw this. So you see, so if we were going and they only had 2 people loaded up here, I'm assuming if it was a strong guild, there would be 5. But you log in, you see the 2 people that were that have teams assigned here. You do see there are weather modifiers, and it looks like this little whatever this is, this armory. This is the Warhorse stable, and the bonus that it gives is attack speed 5. Don't know if that means that the defending team only gets that bonus or if that's taken into account across the board. 5 attack speed. If you can look in here and you can really see the speeds of like the Morgan, that's going to be a big determiner of, and then you can do some quick maths with the attack speed, whether or not you might want to attack this team or this team. Because this one, obviously, Morgan is obviously the threat, and it's got Bedivere in there, and we know that those are the threats. So you can see that battle record. So I don't know if you can see, I'm assuming, or we can make some assumptions here, that the amount of points, I don't know if this is going to go down with attempts. That's something we can find out later. But I'm assuming if you beat all these, you can come back in here and see the battle record to see what teams were used to beat what teams. These are going to be a lot of food for the guild leader and the guild officers to be able, or it's going to be a lot of work. I don't know why I said food. It's going to be a lot of work for the guild management to come in here, especially the really serious guilds, because this is going to be the real PvP and end game PvP content for a while, because it's going to, if they're not done developing this, it's going to be a while before we get something next. So yes, this is how we view the enemy footholds. Weather bonuses synergize with defensive teams. We don't know if it's defensive or offense. I'm assuming it's just that this stronghold. So you'd want to maybe take this into account, which maybe you don't want to put a Morgan here. Maybe you would want her to put her in some place that starts out with night, right? Because then she gets that speed bonus based on her liking to be in the dark. And that's it. Now I want to come up here and look at this yellow stuff, because this was like kind of some consensus. So I said it looks like you're going to need, as an individual, not as a guild, you're going to need, well, I guess a guild, you're going to need 2 to 5 teams per foothold. 3 to, we don't know how many for the castle, which means that at a minimum, if it's 2 per for foothold, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 footholds in one castle. So 11 times 2 is 22, and the castle is 3. So at minimum, you're going to need 25 teams on defense, which means 1 per guild member in a 25-man guild. And then if there's up to 5, that means there's at least 60, and then there could be a little bit more if there's more than 5 in the castle, because 12 plus times 5, it's 60, right? So, and that's just for defense. And what I'm assuming is, or what I'm hoping is that the teams you put on defense, or the units you put on defense, can't be used on offense. Because that would mean, if I need, that would mean that everyone in the maxed scenario would need to build at minimum 4 teams, 2 on defense, or a little bit more than 2. It's like 2.2 or something. Or up to, I guess it'd be up to 5 on defense. Because if you got 60, well, no, 60 divided by 25. Okay, so that's a little bit over 2. So you're going to need 2 teams on max for defense, 2 teams on max for offense to take out those defensive teams. So you're going to have to build up, let's just say, 5 teams in a maxed game scenario to put on defense and to use on offense. So that's really cool. So now we're going to go into some team building comps. So I did start So again, this spreadsheet, you see there's what, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 legends right now in this spreadsheet, looking at it in some form or fashion. The link is in the description. If you guys are watching my video, you've probably already been in to look at the sheet. I have build guides, I have dungeon guides, I have shop priorities, I have a tier list. I got to update this event rotation because we have new events in game, but this I added is the clan versus clan team builder. So what I've started to do is, whoa, that is big. That is big. I've started to kind of try to plan some teams. And I'm going to go into it briefly with you. I've kind of, like, I set up here in this yellow box that these are just general guides on team comps. I'm fully aware that all of you watching this are going to have much, much, much different stages of account development than me. So while I'm kind of making this for everybody, I'm really just looking for a place where I can put something down on paper saying, what teams am I going to make and why? So I kind of built what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams. 7 teams. What did I say? If you're in a max guild, you're probably going to need at least 5, right? And then if you lose, well, you're going to need some more. So I've started to build some teams. And, you know, you don't blast me in the comments for team comps. There's a million different things you can do. A million different well, not a million, but there's a lot of combinations. But I will briefly want to go over some of my initial thoughts. And I just made this casually at work in between doing things in the office. But, like, I was thinking like a pure nuke build. This would be like an offensive team. So, you know, this is obviously a C, higher than a C3 Clarison, because at C3, her S2 is going to give crit damage bonus buffs and is going to ramp up the turn meter on your team, which a C8 Bedivere is going to take advantage of that. And then, obviously, you want to have your Frederick faster than your Bedivere, because he is going to do his, I should say, a C8 Frederick is going to give attack up every single time he does his S2, which is an AoE heal. So between these 3, you can really nuke a team down. And then if you don't want to bring, I said Bodwin because, you know, this team is susceptible. There's no healer. There's no turn meter manipulation other than Clarison, given that attack up at the beginning. But Bodwin, if you pop his C3, he does his shared damage ability, so that you can kind of mitigate some of the damage, or you can chuck in somebody from this surplus that you can look at that's over on the right side. So, and I kind of went through a little bit of detail more here if you guys want to see my thoughts on it. So that's the idea for a team. And then, like, this is a dot team, so like Lancelot's a speed lead, but you could run Rosie speed lead too. And really, you know, C8 Rosie, that's going to, I think it's going to extend dots. Isolde can extend dots. Anguish can put dot up or dot take and increase modifiers on the enemy. And then Lancelot has an AoE dot as well. So a dot team, you know, I just chucked that together. This is like, I call this like, this could be a defense or an offensive team, but I think this is more defensive. So obviously, I said fire a lot, because he does more damage and puts Oblivion on. It's an AoE attack and Oblivion on his S3. I would prefer maybe like a wind Morgan, because she can AoE sleep. So then if between Lot and Morgan, if they can kind of control the team, and you know what, Sarah doing just her S1, that's going to give enough vigor for Cormac to come in and do his Hulk Smash S3. So I don't know what I call this, damage/control team. That's just an idea. You know, of course, Morgan's plug and play a million places. You can kind of put her where you need her. This team, I put this team together because these are daylight bonus teams. Like, Gawain is specifically in his kit requires it to be day and heat. So sun and heat for him to get the full capabilities out of his S2 and his S3. One of them changes the weather to that. But Merlin also changes the weather to day as well. And I think Kay is also a day type character. And then Guinevere's in here just because she does have some synergy, I do believe, with Merlin a little bit. I think they have a co-op attack. I don't quote me on that. But then I just threw her here because then she can add some buffs and some abnormal status immunity and some shields on her S2. So I would say this is an offensive team with Kay and Baldwin. Not Baldwin. Gawain. Oh, I called him Baldwin here. Gawain. Doing a bunch of damage. I call this team, which I think would be good on defense, this is the attack gauge manipulators. So Claudus would supply the DPS, and her S2 is an AoE attack gauge strip. And then I said Florentius Frost, because if you have him in wind and you try to use his S2 to put the heal blocks on the enemies, he doesn't do anything. It's not an attack. So if you bought his frost weapon, then at least he would be doing an AoE attack while doing all of his manipulation. But then his S3 is a nice attack as well. So I think Frost is ideal. And just like Sergius, his character shard, or his copy, you get from Arena. And then you got to get his weapon from Clan Shop. Sergius Fire. I've put out a whole video on Sergius Fire. So has other people. I think I just watched Loki's. I think it was Loki's. Maybe it was Stu's. I don't know. Stu or Loki did one. He just spams his S3 and just ramps this team up with attack gauge continuously. And then Jillian here, obviously you know what she does. Her P1 and her P3. One gives a bunch of attack gauge turn meter. I'm just going to call it turn meter to your team. And the other one, the other passive, strips it from the enemy team. And so this team, and again, don't blast me in the comments. I know there's at least 100 different variations you can do here. And I don't need this many teams. So this I call the Fae team, which I'm putting as a defensive team. And I got to put Kierden's, I think it's Kierden. I got to put Kierden's icon in here. I got to add it to this. Because how this would work was Arduin, I don't remember her name, but she can punch a lot of damage in a counteract, or when she does counterattacks. So you want to build her in a counterattack set, and then Ain supplies all of her goodies, and she gives the whole team counterattack. So you can almost like lock down a team or nuke them just with this kind of combo. Turin obviously doing all the heals on her S2 and giving all the goodies, and then Kierden here. I looked at Kierden a little bit more in depth, and I think if you build her as a really good attacker, I think she could really slap, because if you max out her passives, she does an AoE attack that is based on the enemy's HP percentage. So it doesn't matter. She's just going to chunk off a big old percentage of everyone on the board. And that's only if she's hitting people, I do believe, or if she attacks when the target has abnormal status, which Polymorph from, Autowin, whatever her name is an abnormal status, and Kierden can apply some abnormal statuses on her abilities as well. So I think you would run a full Fae team, and I think that would be a good defense team, because, Turin does a lot of heals, and then, Arden, or whatever her name is, she's just going to control the other team while just peppering them with attacks. But I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to use Ain somewhere else in a different team, which you can do. And then obviously this one, I didn't finish filling it out, but this is a marked team. You can put this on offense or defense. Sigrun is kind of both an offensive and a defensive character. I don't have Irwit, so I would probably be moving Sigrun to one of my other teams and doing some mix and matching there. This guy, I can't remember his name, Sharky Sharkman. He's got a bunch of mark in his kit as well, and we know that this Irwit, if you have him, he really starts teeing off when there's a bunch of marks that he can utilize on the field. And then I just chucked in Clementine here because, she's a attack gauge manipulator, and she can do some healing too. So I just chucked her on there. And then I got these ones over here, which I guess you could make a whole nother team. I don't know where I'd really need them. They're kind of the odd men and women out. But I'm sure you could make a team with like Arthur, Ban, Tristan, and Urians. And then this one, like if you had the wind weapon on, I think it's called Garrett, she's got some interesting control in her kit too. So you can make a whole bunch of different teams. You can make a team with these two, because they can... if you're going against a dot team, you could probably put them on a team on offense and really nuke a dot team down, because you would just be basically as they would dot you, you would cleanse it, and then you would ramp up your attack gauge due to Dejaret's abilities. So there's a lot of cool things that you could probably start planning for clan versus clan. So I don't really want, I know you guys all have your opinions. This is just a guide, but I'm just trying to get you thinking ahead of time about not just I need to build this hero to beat this dungeon. I want you thinking I need to build this team to counter this team. Because, like I said, if you're in a high-end guild, you're going to need 4, 5, 6 teams built fully. And I don't know if you're going to be able to, if the characters are going to lock once you start the PvP season, or if you can move around gear, which I really hope you don't have to do that, because that just makes things a little too easy. I think it should really be about full development taken as a whole. I think you should lock in when you sign up, because there's usually sign up phases to this. Lock in your team developed as they are with the gear they have on them, and then may luck ever be in your favor, or whatever it is. May fortune ever be in your favor, or whatever that line is from the Hunger Games. So yeah, so here's just something to get you going, guys. This sheet is on my master spreadsheet, which is linked in the description below. I'm really excited for this upcoming content. I have already started doing stuff and planning and thinking, and this is what theory crafters really like. Like this is content that is much needed in this game, and I just hope that it is just going over and over and over and over again, and just we can just keep I want something to do every day, and this looks fun. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to wrap that up right there. Tell me what you think down in the description below. The word of the day, the safe word of the day, is clan versus clan, CVC, however you want. Put that down in the description below, or in a comment below. I'll know you made it to the end of this video, and I'm going to thank you profusely, because somehow I rambled on for another 30 minutes. So I hope this was informative. Hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I will catch you in the next one. Cheers. Peace. Bye-bye.